Josh and Caleb.
Hello guys, welcome back to the channel. Got some theme park related stuff in the background. Today we are going to be going over Universal and Walt Disney World, pros and cons, who wins each category. I got, 20 or so. Biggest con for both parks. Then top 5 personal favorite attractions at each parks, and the top 6 we lost at both parks. And that then will kind of wrap up with who I think is definitely going to win in the future and who's winning right now and who won in the past, which that's pretty obvious, the past. Overall is still Disney. Attractions, shows, characters, all that together, the cast members. Overall, Disney wins that. Attractions, again, still Disney, although Universal is catching up drastically in that area, but they have a lot of bad attractions as well. Jimmy Neutron, Jimmy Fallon, Fast and the Furious, the Minions. So they have some really bad ones as well. Disney, although they're getting bad now, there's not many rides that I won't ride. So, yeah, Disney still has attractions. Parking, that's easily Disney. If you guys have been to Universal, is a nightmare to park. Granted, the parking is for 3 things: City Walk and then the 2 parks. So, but, their attendants don't control the line. It's just kind of park wherever you want to, and it causes chaos. So Disney clearly still has that. Resorts, this would have been Disney pretty easily, although they still have some great resorts. Animal Kingdom Lodge, for example, Fort Wilderness, which isn't really a resort, but you can stay there. Well, I guess they have rooms. I've never actually been there. But overall, when you're talking about price, convenience, it's gotta be Universal right now. We stayed at Surfside, was it? The 2 hotels across the road from each other. Very convenient and very cheap. And if the theming doesn't matter, like Disney has proven here recently, what's the point of paying $200-300 more a night when you're not getting theming? So Universal, convenience, easily Universal. No park reservation, no virtual queues, no lightning lane, being cheap so everybody and their brother buys it, which clogs up standby. Their pass is like $100-something. So if you do it in Splurge, you can ride all the rides. It's a walk-on, basically, but it doesn't affect the standby. Whereas Lightning Lane and Genie Plus all together, it clogs up the standby lane. So that's Universal. New attractions would be Universal right now. Velocicoaster, Hagrid's, 2 of the best coasters / attractions. And I would even add in there well, that's the California parks. We'll stick to the Florida parks. But they're doing some great attractions. Uh, yeah, although Guardians is fun, it's nowhere near as good as those two. Okay, so that's Universal Security. Kind of a tie. They're both relatively quick. Uh, Universal, it's like this big open room, and there's a bunch of lanes to just walk through. Uh, well, you have to get, I guess it's pretty much a tie, although at Universal you have to do the extra step of getting all your stuff out of your pockets. So, kind of a toss up, but then once you're through, you can go to both parks. Theming still Disney, although they are de-theming resorts, even their own theme park. Uh, Cast slash team members, this one's easily Disney. The cast members at any Disney park usually go above and beyond. They are always awesome. You can't say that Universal. Yeah, not the same experience. So that's still Disney. Shows, I have to give this to Universal. Because some of my favorite shows are there. Horror Makeup, Blues Brothers, Maryland, even though they got rid of Beetlejuice, Graveyard Review, and Ghostbusters. Disney doesn't really have a lot of shows. I mean, you have Beauty and the Beast, Frozen, uh, Muppets, if you count that as a show. But I would go with Universal. AP Perks. Uh, Easily Universal. Not even close. Now, 5 years ago, this would have been Disney because they still cared about annual pass holders. They do not anymore. At Universal, they have days during the summer where you get your own separate entrance, which is actually through the exit. They added lounges. Uh, you still get discounts for everything, so that's clearly Universal. Sightlines, this is Disney, although they are getting just as bad as Universal is. Universal, I mean, it doesn't help that there's water right in the middle, but you can see pretty much the whole park, and that's not good. So that's Disney. Original attractions. Now, this is Disney, but slowly that is becoming closer. Of course, Universal never had like original attractions unless you count the backlot tour, maybe. But everything was based on a movie, but you could ride the movies. I think that was the whole thing. And we'll get to that, why that's important, because the ones we lost, there's a lot of those there. Uh, Ticket purchase. This is also kind of a tie because it's pretty simple at both. Although at Universal, you can do it at the gate. Uh, Magic Kingdom, sometimes you have to do at the TTC. Although we have done it at the park, there's a little booth off to the side. But the last few times I've been, I've not seen anybody there. So I think you have to do a TTC. So we will give this one to Universal. Restaurants, again, easily Disney. I can't even think of a restaurant I like at Universal, except for maybe the one by Jurassic Park. Because the Universal Monster Cafe was up there, and is it the Fantastic Four? That one's pretty good, but they changed it to where you have to know while you're in line what table you want, and sometimes they're crowded. You don't know what table you're gonna get. So yeah, that one probably that's Disney clearly. Streetmosphere. This one's kind of tricky because neither one has Streetmosphere anymore. Disney still has the band and the Dapper Dans and the guy that plays the piano, uh, by Casey's. And Universal, the characters walk around freely. So that's kind of a toss up. If you want characters, I would say Universal, but like music related, I would say Disney. So that's kind of a tie. Special events. This one's Disney for now. I've never been to Horror Nights, but I've heard that is really amazing, especially the one in California. Gotta do that at some point, but love Very Merry Christmas Party, even though they don't do the lights anymore. And Not So Scary is great as well. So that goes to Disney for now. Water parks, this one's Disney just because I've never been to Universal's water park. I've only been to one Disney water park. Then park layout, this one's Disney for now. Again, like the video last week, if they change Rivers of America and Tom Sawyer's Island, that goes out the window. The park layout does not matter. Okay, the biggest con for both parks. Disney is the virtual queue in Lightning Lane. That will be their downfall outside of Tiana's and the Rivers of America. Universal changing everything every 10 to 15 years. Every time you fall in love with an attraction, it's gone, or a show, or whatever. It's just gone. Okay, so that's all the who won the pros and cons there. Now we will talk about top 5 attractions at Disney and Universal. This is overall all the parks, so I mean this whole list has been, but obviously Haunted Mansion, this is Disney, Pirates, Space Mountain, Big Thunder, and Tower of Terror. That's my top 5 favorite attractions. For me personally, no new attractions on there. Universal, it changes a little. Spider Man, Mummy, those are kind of interchangeable. Both have been number one. Then Hagrid's, love that ride, especially at night. Velocicoaster, same thing. Those are two brand new attractions in the top 5. And then, of course, Jurassic Park. That's a top 5 attraction. Then things we have lost. There's 6 items, although Universal technically has 7. We'll get to that. We'll start with Disney. The 6 attractions we lost that will haunt me forever. The Backlot Tour, although not as good as Universal's was, it was great. You got to see old props from Star Wars, Pirates, all the cars. I remember as a kid seeing police vehicle from Dick Tracy and just like my mind being blown. And there used to be this big, it was kind of like a warehouse where you could see all the costumes, uh, Batman and Pirates and Haunted Mansion when that came out. So miss Backlot very much. Not as much as I miss Mr. Toad's Wild Ride. Man, that still burns even to this day. Uh, it was in Fantasyland, of course. It was where Winnie the Pooh is now. Uh, and that's only one track. This had two tracks. Each track was its own thing. You had different experiences on either side. One side had like what are they called? Oh man, weasels, like them, and then the other one was more like the Disneyland version. So yeah, Mr. Toad's. Then the Great Movie Ride, of course. Although I do, as time has gone on, I do like Mickey and Minnie's, although it's a little too screen based for me. Then Extraterrestrial, one of the scariest attractions I've ever done in my life. Still have nightmares about that. But great attraction, and now nothing is in that building. There used to be a Stitch meet and greet, but now it's just nothing. You can't experience anything there. Then Snow White's Scary Adventure, although I can't in my mind remember a lot about Snow White's Scary Adventure, not like Mr. Toad's. That I pretty much have the entire ride layout in my memory. But Snow White's, for whatever reason, I can only think of a couple scenes. It was too intense, I guess. And that was, of course, replaced with Seven Dwarf Mine Train, which is neither. It failed at two things. It tried to do two things at once, a dark ride that's also a thrill ride. And to me, it failed at both. It's not a dark ride, and it's not so intense that you would call it a thrill ride. So, Snow White's Scary Adventure. Then we will end Disney with the Nemo subs, which, oh, I still remember riding that. My dad got video of it, not on the attraction, but while we were in line. I shared that on my first ever trip vlog in my Disney playlist if you want to watch that. But it was so realistic, you know. I'd never really been in the ocean at that point. I was like 6 or 7. So that was like going under the ocean. I can't even comprehend when Disney subs used to have cast members live perform as mermaids. Man, that must have blown some kids' minds. Even though when they changed it to Finding Nemo, it's not the same. From person, it takes forever to load people. I don't know if our version was different, because I don't remember it taking that long to load submarines. Maybe I'm just crazy. But yeah, Nemo's on there. Now we'll jump over to Universal. Back to the Future. Why I quit going to Universal Studios. Once they changed that, I was done with them. I'm like, I'm never going back. Then eventually I did go back, but Back to the Future was tough because it's like a sequel that you are a part of. It was great. I could do a whole video about Back to the Future. Jaws, same thing, like you're in the movie. The way they had Amityville, like, it was like you were not in the theme park anymore. You had gone way out to some wherever Amityville was, and you were in that town being terrorized by a shark. I never did the early version where he like Bruce Jaws grabs a boat and like goes around with you. I never did that version. They had to redo the whole thing, change it, and it's glorious. Harry Potter's there now, so in fairness, it was replaced by a great themed area. So we can at least say that about Jaws. King Kong was changed to one of my favorite rides, The Mummy. So there's that. But, uh, I mean, all this comes down to like your experience as a kid, probably. If you didn't go to a lot of theme parks when you were young, I mean, this probably doesn't mean anything to you, but oh, so scared as a kid when you're on that subway thing and you're going up and you see him around the corner, he's reaching out to you, like what the Yeti is supposed to at Everest. Great. King Kong was great. Earthquake as well. Yeah, Casualty of Fast and the Furious. That one hurts. Earthquake was so great. You learned a little bit about the movie making process before you boarded the tram. Then you board the tram and the earthquake happens all around you. Now they did change it to the big one with Dwayne the Rock Johnson. I never rode that version, so I can't really discuss that one. Then we'll get to some shows. T2, one of the best interactive shows ever. Like the robots popping out, pointing the guns at you. Like you were like, wow, this is really about to happen. And then when they ride through the screen in the motorcycle, like as a kid, I'm like, how did they do that? It is great. I could do a whole video about all these things, obviously. Then Twister ride it out. As someone who has experienced a Twister very close to our house, and then once it hit the water, it turned, luckily, but this attraction was the closest thing you could do without actually being in a twister tornado. uh, it was great. And then I will also mention uh, Alfred Hitchcock, the show. I forgot what it was called. Master of Horror, something like that. It was a great show where they broke down a bunch of movies like Psycho, the shower scene, and the audience could be involved. I feel like Disney and Universal are both missing things where you as an audience member can participate. I mean, they have horror and makeup show where one person can participate. But like Earthquake, Backlot Tour, Alfred Hitchcock, multiple people could participate. So we'll wrap up with the future of both Universal and Disney. Obviously, Universal is building Epic Universe, which in all, just on paper, probably the best theme park ever built. Uh, Now, I've not ever been to a grand opening of a theme park per se. I guess the closest would have been Animal Kingdom, like a couple years after. But Epic Universe is going to change the game for everybody. I should also mention SeaWorld, or Sesame Place, now has the rights to Bluey, which, that's going to change the game as well. But this is just about Universal and Disney. What Disney has down the road, I'm saying down the road because it takes them a long time to build stuff. Although Josh has said they are breaking ground next year, so we'll see. Uh, Monster, Monsters Inc. Door Coaster, probably replacing Muppets and Star Tours. That's not going to be good. Uh, Disney just hates the Muppets, I think. Uh, and Star Tours is in a weird place. It is the best Star Wars attraction. I used to think Rise of the Resistance, but I kind of don't think that anymore. Star Tours is great. So to lose two beloved attractions like that, I mean, although both are pretty much walk-ons if you went today, for example, uh, but it's not what they are doing at the moment. It's overall the history and legacy. Um, it's not everybody's favorite attraction or show. I get that, but you know, what if Monsters Inc. opens and it's not good? Then we have lost those things. Uh, I think it will actually turn out really good, especially if they build Metropolis and get Harryhausen's. That would be great. The smart thing would be to put in the animation courtyard, cause and the launch bay, cause there's literally nothing there, and they have a bunch of space behind it. The question would be, what you do with Little Mermaid, and that area there with One Man's Dream. Uh, you could move that though, I think. It's not a huge building. But I feel like they're probably going to tear down Muppets because they have let it go, and the gift shop has been closed for years. So I feel like that's the way they're leaning. They're just going to demolish old stuff to build new stuff. What Universal? that's their MO, and now Disney is copying them, and then putting cars in Rivers of America and Tom Sawyer Island. I could be wrong. It could, turn out to be great, but we have lost our kineticism. Especially that dock, the shortcut to Splash and Big Thunder. Walking over the water like that, you're like out of a theme park now. It takes you to this cool place. If we lose that for a huge paved walkway, I mean, what's the where are we gaining? I guess is my question. So we'll see. Right now, it looks like Universal is WWE and Disney is WCW. They are up now, but they are being very cocky, doing dumb things, and eventually they will get caught. uh, it's crazy how they have basically switched places. Because although Minion Blast is not a great attraction by any means, they have done some great stuff outside of that. Uh, you know, and they're really thinking, like, what do people actually want to experience? And they build it, and it's usually great. Minus Minions. I mean, if you have a kid, I'm sure those two attractions are great. Uh, they're not for me, let's say. Uh, so yeah, that's basically the video. Uh, kind of a pros and cons for each part. Who's gonna win? I feel like long term, Universal. Right now, Disney is still on top, but the parks were not crowded when we went last time in July. So everything was pretty much a walk on. Uh, I feel like all these new attractions are a response to Epic Universe because they actually understand it's a threat now. So we will see, time will tell how this all shakes out. But that is going to do it. I'm no longer a pass holder. I'm sure some of you guys get that or knew that. But eventually I will be again. But right now had other stuff it's kind of a cycle uh we do, we do like 5 6 years, we're into it, and then we take time off and kind of reflect, uh you know. But yeah, I don't know where I was going with that, but that's going to do it. uh I'm Josh. More videos coming as always. Leave a comment down below what you guys think about all this. I'm Josh. Until then, if I don't see you out thrifting, I'll see you at the movies. Bye.